What's up, everybody? How's it going? Happy Tuesday. Happy New Year. My first vlog of the new year. I want to catch everybody up on what's going on in my world and continue to document the journey, especially with this new path I'm on. So, actually, I think let me know that you guys can see and hear me okay. We're just going to get started. I want to talk about a few things today. Pull up my notes here real quick. So, again, let me know that you can see and hear me okay. Say hello. If you're watching for the first time, let me know where you're watching from. Looks like we got Alyssa Silviera, Jessica Evelyn tuned in, Sherry Flowers Bronze. Hey, Sherry, Happy New Year. But I want to catch everybody up on a few things. I have some exciting news that I'm going to fill you in on in a minute. But actually, what do y'all think? These are my new t-shirts, Polygyny Rocks. I have them made. We'll drop the link in the comments if anybody wants to pick up one. I know that it's going to drive some people crazy, but I think that some people will like them. I think that they turned out pretty nice. What do you think? All right, let's dive into it. So the most exciting thing I have to fill everyone in on is the news is I have a girlfriend. I'm in a relationship. Yeah. So the girl came from the Netherlands this past week, and we spent 7 days together, did a lot over this course of those 7 days, and really clicked. We just have a lot of chemistry and are very much into each other. She's a great girl. She's beautiful. She's a Christian. She has a very big heart, and there's just a lot of chemistry there. We decided to make it official, and I'm actually headed to Aruba tomorrow to meet up with her. She went down there to visit a friend, and originally she was just going to go, but she invited me down, so I decided to book a last-minute plane ticket, and I'm going to go down there tomorrow and spend a week with her. And I'm pretty excited about that. It was an unexpected vacation, and for those that might be wondering, I'm still waiting. We haven't had sex, and we don't plan to have sex. We're both committed to saving sex for marriage, but we are highly attracted to each other physically. And yeah, so say a prayer for me. But I'm very excited. I do think that there's a good chance that this could result in a marriage for sure. So we'll see, though. We're taking it one step at a time. Definitely praying about it. And so far, so good. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm using this little microphone here because I'm about 2 feet away from my phone. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Do me a favor, drop a comment, let me know that you can see and hear me okay. And again, if it's your first time watching one of these, let me know where you're watching from. Yeah, so when she was in town, we did a lot over that week. We went to, one night I took her to dinner. We went to New Year's Eve, obviously, had a blast. Probably the best New Year's Eve I've had in a long time. And that definitely was nice to have a date. Went to the Bible Museum on I think 2 days after the New Year, took her down to DC, and we did that a day. And then we went to New York the following day. We saw a Broadway play. We saw Back to the Future, stayed up there a night, and then we came back the following day. And I think there was like one more day before she left the country. But it was great. We really clicked, and I really feel like God is in it. I have good discernment. I've said that before, and I can tell when God is leading me in a direction, and I definitely have a lot of green lights with her, a lot of peace, and I see His fingerprints all over it, the way He brought us together. And I don't know, for anyone out there that's looking for their person or waiting for their person, I just think about how He orchestrated me and her coming together, because there's no way I could have made that happen. There's no way I could have thought that. Like, she lives on the other side of the world. And the way that we just ended up even talking for the first time felt like it was God ordained. So anyway, I'm pretty grateful, pretty excited. Her and I pray every day together. I read her bedtime stories, and it's great to have the spectrum. So I don't know if any of y'all can relate, but there's definitely a strong physical connection there, like strong chemistry in that physical department. But at the same time, we'll pray together, a lot of joking and laughter, sometimes inappropriate humor. But it's like the full spectrum of what a relationship should be like, in my opinion. And it's nice. So I'm really enjoying it. So that's my big news. I haven't changed my Facebook status yet, but I will, I'm sure, at some point. But yeah, so that's it right now. Her and I are an item. And I have been hiding her face. I have got some questions about that. And not, for the most part, the reason I'm doing that is because there's a bunch of small-minded religious people on my pages, on my platforms. And I don't need anybody hitting her up, trying to tell her, what are you doing talking to this guy? Da, da, da. If you see his post, like, first off, somebody asked me, does she know about it? What do you think? It's not like I'm hiding it. Of course she knows about it. But I don't need a bunch of small-minded religious people messaging her. So I'll give you the story. She had sent me this message about calming her down with my masculine energy. It was just basically, thank you for calming me down with your masculine energy, something like that. So I screenshot it and I shared it on my story to say something along the lines of, man, this is your job to make your women feel safe and secure with your masculine energy or something along those lines. And somebody saw her tiny little profile, like their little circle from Instagram, the tiny little profile picture, and they went through my freaking friends list on Instagram. They went all and they found her and they messaged some asshole that didn't know her, don't know me. And they're like, you're too good for this, blah, blah, blah. Like, basically, the day she was flying over here, try to talk her out of coming. And so I'm like, people asked why I hide her face. One person said, oh, it's because you fucked her. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And we haven't had sex. But thank you for assuming the worst. I'm hiding her face because of small-minded people like you. So that's the reason I just haven't shared her. I'm going to keep her to myself a little bit. I just don't need her to. At some point, there's going to be, we get married, there's going to be negative backlash. I'm sure she's going to have to field. Because if God continues to lead me down this path of polygyny, which I believe he is going to continue leading me in this direction, and I'm going to tell you about some other things that are in the works, then she's going to have to be able to stand in it. She's going to have to be able to give her honest opinion about it and rebuttals to it. But right now, I just don't need her to have to deal with it. So let me tell you really quickly what I'm going to talk about for the rest of this live, because I usually try to tee it up, and I didn't do that. I want to tell you about this new program I'm working on called the Alpha Man Blueprint, specifically for men who believe in biblical marriage and may want to be in a plural marriage themselves. I want to talk about, this is a new program I'm putting together. I also want to talk about this retreat. I'm headed to Arizona, not this weekend, but when I get back from Aruba the following weekend, with a group called Biblical Families, which is also related to polygyny. I want to tell you about this new book I'm starting to work on, also around polygyny. So that's where we're going with this live. But back to what I was saying with her is I'm headed to Aruba to meet her, and we're going to spend a week there. And yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on how everything goes. I will say this, I hung out. So basically, she was in town recently. She was in town, obviously. But the day before she left, we hung out with a bunch of my close friends. We all went out and had dinner, and we did karaoke and just had a blast. And my friends are like, I got to give it to you, because they're like, you're taking so much shit for this, and you just don't care. Like, you're standing in it. And I really don't. Of course, I'd rather not deal with it, but I'm not going to let anybody intimidate me or bully me. Like, this is information that I found is true, or you can even just say, I believe it's true, and I'm going to share it, and I don't give a shit what you think. I'm not going to worry about your opinion or your laughing emojis or your clown emojis or whatever you try to do to embarrass me or shame me. In order for that to work, I'd have to give a fuck what you think. That in order for you to shame me, I would actually have to care what you think, and I don't care. I only care about what God thinks, and if God's leading me in this direction, I'm going to share it, and you can put all the smiling faces you want, and it doesn't bother me one bit. So you can unfollow if I trigger you. That's fine. But to continue to be rude, like, I'm just going to start. I've already removed people. I just unfriend them. Sometimes I'll block them. I don't need to keep explaining myself, because I've already done it over and over. I've made multiple videos about this. I went through all the verses for and against, had experts on both sides. You know where I stand on it, and I've given you all the reasons for it. If anybody has questions, actually, that I've had one guy say, I asked the same question and you won't answer it. You're dodging questions. And I'm like, I've answered every question that I've came across. So if somebody has a question, drop them in the comments right now. I don't hide from anything. We'll talk about it right now. I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. But I'm not dodging anybody. I know where I stand on the subject and what I believe to be true. And time will tell. One of us is right. And I would go as far as to say I know it's me. Like, this one guy reached out. He was just being a real jerk in the comments. And he's like, yeah, you talked about monogamy until it no longer served you. And then now you're talking about this. And I'm thinking, what do you think this is doing for me? How do you think this is benefiting me to talk about polygyny? Because it doesn't benefit me. It's like the worst thing that I could have probably discovered. It's the worst information to land on, because the way that people treat you when you talk about it. I have an event company. Okay, I do New Year's Eve. I do Hallelujah Hoedown. This information is jeopardizing those events on some level. It's not like more people want to attend your event because you talk about polygyny. Dumb. It shocks me that people assume the worst about you, because it's like they think that there's some ulterior motive. Like, even when I was talking about why waiting works, what do you think the motive was? You think I sold all these books? I'm like, I sold a handful of books. Like, it was not popular information to be talking about, telling people you shouldn't be having sex outside of marriage while you're trying to get them to come to your social event at Power Plant Live. Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, sex sells, not having sex. And it's the same with polygyny. It's not like it's benefiting me in some way. Now, I am launching a coaching course for men that want to be in it. So the possibility does exist that I could monetize this down the road, but that's not why I'm doing it. There's a lot of ways to make money and this wouldn't be the one that I would have chosen unless I believed it was honestly good for the world. Like, I shared a stat that I came across the other day. It said the average age that men get married in the United States is 30 and a half years old. Okay, think about that. So that men don't get married till they're 30 and a half. What do you think they're doing in their 20s? They're fucking, right? They're out polluting the dating pool if they can. Not all men can go out and be promiscuous, but the ones that can are. And what that does is it creates a bunch of women that get damaged and used up, and they get alpha sickness is what they call it. They got their heart broke a bunch of times, and now they don't pair bond as well. So when they do finally get married, they can't pair bond to that man, and then 80% of the time they file for divorce. That's what happens, okay? And this is the fruit of monogamy only, because men can feel somewhere, they might not be able to articulate it. That's the way I was. I believed in monogamy only, and I assumed a woman was going to come along one day and make me feel a way that I've never felt before. And that when I say make me feel a way that I've never felt before, I mean she was going to somehow makes monogamy only make sense to me. And that never happened, to be honest, because I think men know deep down that this monogamy only model feels like a trap because it's not biblical. Now, again, I'm not saying that the majority of men won't even be anything but monogamous, but when you tell them they have to be, and they're enforced upon them by the law and by the society, that makes us scared. That freaks them out a little bit. So then they wait to get married because they want to enjoy themselves. They want to play the field maybe a little bit. And then they go out and they pollute the dating pool all through their 20s. And then it creates a cesspool. Versus if you told a man, hey, look, you can get married, and if you decide that you want a second down the road, you can take one. Then the men would get married a hell of a lot younger. They'd get married at 18. There would be no point in going out, because you're like, yeah, and maybe you never do. Most of them probably never would. But knowing that they could would change everything. So I want people to understand, like, this polygyny thing is, I'm not doing it just for me. Because if I was doing it just for me, I would just go out and fucking do it, right? I'd just go out and get married, and I wouldn't make content. I wouldn't be posting every day about it, taking all these negative comments from a bunch of, like, what would be the point? I could just go do it and not talk about it. I'm doing it because I believe it would be very beneficial for cleaning up this fucking mess that we have. I saw another stat the other day that said 1 in 4 men over the age of 40 have never been married. That's a record high. They've never been married. 1 in 4 men, 25% of men over the age of 40 have never been married. Because what happens is you have the top alpha men hogging up the majority of the women. The top 20% of the men are sleeping with 80% of the women. So that means some guys are sleeping with 4, 5, 6, 7 girls at the same time. And the thing is, most women won't have sex with more than one guy at a time. So if they're fucking one guy, maybe they see him once a week or once every 2 weeks, that's good. They feel like they have their man. Now, he might be seeing a different girl every night. And what that does, it takes all those girls off the dating market. So now they can't find their sexual marketplace equal. Or not to say they can't find them, they're just not going out looking for him, because in their mind, they got a man. And he might be a 9, but they might be a 6, their sexual marketplace value. I'm just roll with me here. So they're not entertaining other 6s, because in their mind, they're a 9 now because they're fucking a 9. And it takes them off the dating market. And now you got 1 in 4 men over the age of 40 that can't find a wife. And another stat I saw is 1 in 3 men between the ages of 18 and 24 haven't had sex in the last year. That 33% of guys haven't got laid in the last year. And I'm telling you, it's not because they're waiting intentionally. It's because they can't find the women because they're being hogged up by all the alphas. And some people will say, wait a second, how is polygyny going to fix that? Follow me. Because when a man doesn't have responsibility for a woman, he can go out. I fucked hundreds of girls because I didn't have to, there was no responsibility attached to the sex. When you attach responsibility, you do this biblically, you have to provide and protect for those women. You can't do that for more than a few. So you might be able to have 3 wives, 4 wives, but at that point, you're probably capped out. You're maxed out. That's all you got, the money and the time to support. And hopefully that's enough to fill a man's ego or whatever it is, the reason that he would even want to do that. And that's good. But instead of going out and polluting the dating pool with hundreds of women, which is what often happens. And I know because I did it. Now, I haven't done it in a long time, but that is what I used to do. And I had a lot of friends that did the same thing. So that's like why I'm working on this new program, because like I'm passionate about helping those 80% of the men that are pushed out of the sexual marketplace get into that top 20. I want to help them get in the game because I know it's not that hard to be at 8, like on the sexual marketplace. You have to it's not like something you're just necessarily born with. You have to develop some people skills. You got to get into great shape, get your diet down, figure out a vision for your life, figure out how you're going to get there, get some ambition, get around some like-minded guys that are going after it too. And you can raise your game, and you can find a high-value woman with a little bit of effort. So that's what I want to help guys do. And I want to help guys that really believe specifically in biblical marriage and may want to be in a plural marriage themselves, because I just feel like I could help those guys. I feel like most of them may never do it. They may just get into a marriage and it only be them, just be one, just be a monogamous marriage. But I think just having communicating the fact that it's their biblical right to have a second if they so choose sets them up for success in that relationship with that first wife, because then the woman knows this is a man that has boundaries. He's able to set and enforce boundaries, and he's my head. He's my authority, because that is the way it is biblically, is the man is supposed to be the head, and the woman is supposed to. I know women hate to hear that, but I think it's spelled out very clearly. It doesn't mean you're an asshole either. It doesn't mean you abuse your authority. You're supposed to love your wife like Christ loved the church. You're supposed to lay down your life for your wife. But at the end of the day, he is the head. Yeah. So anyway, Alpha Man Blueprint, for anybody that wants more information about that. Actually, let me drop a couple comments while we're talking, and I want to drop a link to this t-shirt in case anybody wants it. And I also want to drop a link to the video that I posted for the Alpha Man Blueprint in case there's anybody out there that wants more information. We're going to start January 22nd. There's going to be a group of guys going through this. And I fully expect I'm actually offering a guarantee to these guys. And what I'm offering them is that I'm going to work with them until they're in their first marriage. And with a woman under the understanding that they could take a second if they so choose. Okay, that's my guarantee to these guys. Again, whether they do it or not, it'll be up to them at that point, but I'm going to help them find a wife with that woman, marrying them with that woman, knowing that they could take another wife if they so choose, and that woman can't divorce them if they do. Because that is not biblically, that's not grounds for divorce. And again, I'm doing this. I'm in the process of doing this myself, so I know what needs to be done. So guys, if you're out there, maybe you've been watching some of my content and you want to know more about this, drop a DM drop me a DM. Don't comment because you're likely to be attacked. But drop me a DM and we can jump on a call and talk more about it. Oh, here we go. Let's see here. Feel free to leave any questions about anything I said in the comments. I'll go back through here in a minute and we'll talk about it for a second. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go, guys. Sorry about that. I should have had this ready. All right. I just dropped a comment.
Here. Know if I can help.
Sorry about that. I just dropped a comment there. But so far we have there's about 5 or 6 guys that have already signed up for this program. We start January 22nd. My vision is to really form a brotherhood of like-minded guys and attend each other's weddings. That would be the dream right there, is help these guys get married, help these guys that were previously invisible to women, find a first wife with the potential to take a second if they so choose, and attend each other's weddings. Because I really feel like this is the biggest contribution I can make to the world, is helping get the stigma removed around polygyny because of what it would do. Think about the divorces. Think about the fatherless homes. Think about the people that are out fornicating because they don't want to get married under this monogamy-only bullshit that's not in the Bible. It would massively change the world. Mr. Marson said, your new lady understands polygyny. Are you guys going to get married? She definitely does. She understands polygyny. She knows that. This is actually how we even started talking, was she responded to one of my videos. That was kind of we started talking. Now, I will say she's very much in love. He told me, I've never felt this way before about anybody. I love you so much. Would she want me monogamy only? That's what she says. She's like, I don't know if I could share you. That's what she's told me. I told her, well, that's the decision you're going to have to make, because if God tells me to do this, then I'm going to do it. Okay. That goes back to a post I made where I said the worst thing you can do for a woman is give her everything she says she wants. Because don't believe that any of us know what we want, exactly what we want. We think we know what we think we want. If that was true, think about it, because women get married. That's the dream their whole life. They're not everybody's, but most of them. They want to be married. That's the fairy tale. They get married to a man that they did the whole I said yes thing with, and then 80% of the time, they're the ones that file for divorce. So they thought they wanted that man. All right, sorry about that. So what? Just because a woman says that she wants something, and that goes for men too, but just because a woman says that she wants something doesn't mean it's necessarily what she really wants or what she needs. Because again, if that was the case, why are they the ones filing for divorce? 80% of the time. It's actually 75% of the time they file for divorce, But if they're college educated, 90% of the time, they're the ones that file for divorce. So 9 out of 10 times, the woman files for the divorce, not the man. Only one time in a college educated relationship. That tells you something. Okay, maybe you disagree on what that tells you. I think I know what it tells you. Is that, yes, so this woman's dating me. She tells me I would want you in a monogamy-only relationship. But who's to say if I marry her under monogamy-only and I promise her that, okay, baby, just me and you till death do us part, forsaking all others, even though that's not what the Bible says, who's to say she doesn't become one of the 9 out of 10, right? Because it happens. It happens all the fucking time. So is it possible that God knows something that we didn't? That women maybe like competition, or even just the possibility of competition, or maybe there's something else. I think people are trying to use logic to understand something that you can't understand using logic. I was going somewhere with that. I forgot my train of thought. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, polygyny, the relationship, I'm trying to get it back. Anyway, I'm sorry, I lost it. But basically, yes, she says that she would want to be with me under monogamy only, but at the end of the day, I have a feeling that a lot of women feel that way because it introduces competition. And who wants competition? Who wants to share, right, if you don't have to? But is it really the best thing for the relationship? I would argue no, because there's a reason that the divorce rate's so high. I think God knew what he was doing when he said that a man is allowed to take a second wife if he so chooses. Like somebody commented on one of my posts, I think this is where I was going with it. And they said, so have you talked to your girl about this? Or have you asked for your girl's permission? And I was like you and the rest of these pussy boys, I shouldn't have said that, but I did. I don't have to ask my girl's permission for something God already gave me permission to do. Why the hell would I ask my girl's permission for something God already gave me permission to do? That's some like simp BS. Like that's why men get left. It's because you don't have to go. Sorry guys, I lost you again. What if God told you to go out and marry the neighbor with the 3 kids? Let's say your husband just died. She's a widow. She's got 3 kids. You're married already. And God clearly tells you, marry her and take care of that family. You're going to be like, hold on, God, let me go ask my wife. What? Hell no. If God tells me to do something, I'm going to go do it. I'm not going to ask my wife. And that's the way it's supposed to work. There's a chain of command here. Read the Bible. God, Jesus, man, woman, kids. That's how it works. And when things get out of order, bad shit happens. So polygyny destroys feminism. It destroys it. Not even to say you have to do it, but automatically, because a man has the right to and the woman doesn't, that automatically makes him the head. And I know women hate to hear that, which is, again, why all the women are the ones in my comments, raising hell, all these women with Jezebel spirits, raising hell because they don't like it. And I'm like, look, take it up with the big guy. I'm just the messenger. See a comment coming through here. Leor said, I think the problem is your assumptions are that you think you know everything about what everybody else thinks or does. Are you a theologian, social worker? I'm as much of a theologian as anybody else that's read the Bible a few times, but I also have people that are much more educated than me on, like pastors, and like I look at people even like Martin Luther. Do you think that you're smarter than Martin Luther? Because I'd have to say that he had a very good understanding of Scripture. And he said himself that there was no scriptural support against polygyny. But again, I'm going through the verses for and against polygyny. I mean, I'm bringing in people like Berean Patriot and others, and we dissected the Bible, okay? Now, if you're talking about the problems I see in the practical world, oh yeah, I see lots of problems, and all you have to do is not be blind to notice those. But I also know in my spirit that I'm right, okay? I know I'm being led by the Spirit. Now, the Holy Spirit's not going to tell you what he's leading me to do, okay? But I don't assume to know what God's leading you to do either. So for me to come to you and be like, you're wrong, you're doing that, and you think God told you, and God's not going to tell me what he told you to do. That's a foolish notion to even think that. And that's what I think people are doing, because I'm telling people, no, I'm being led by the Spirit. I'm dissecting the Scriptures and showing you this is the way I'm interpreting it. You can feel free to disagree. I'm not going to force anybody to do this, but this is the way I'm understanding it. But also, on top of that, I know what I'm being led to do by God. And you don't have to agree with me, but again, God's not going to tell you what he's telling me to do. Okay, Danielle said, no woman is ever going to be okay with this long term. I can guarantee you that from the perspective, it might say they are now, but once you have all these relationships, I know how women are, there's going to be fights, jealousy, and all the sorts of stuff. It's going to be a disaster. It's a really bad idea for you. Okay, so again, you're assuming, right? Because you don't know. Okay, there's all kinds of things that people don't understand. Okay, somebody messaged me and said something about Stockholm syndrome, where a person falls in love with the person that takes them hostage. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. I just learned this thing. Who the fuck could understand that? Or somebody kidnaps somebody, and then the person that gets kidnapped falls in love with their kidnapper, right? That actually happens. It's a whole syndrome. Why? I don't know why it happens. To me, it's unexplainable. So you're trying to tell me that this is automatic. You're like, no. The funny thing is, again, most of the people that are in the comments, they have relationship disasters. Their stories are disastrous. They've been through multiple divorces and breakups and fornication and all the things, and yet they defend monogamy only like it's so great. Like, you don't see the problems? I could go outside with a blindfold and throw a rock and hit somebody whose whole life was destroyed because of monogamy only. And the kids were wrecked, and like, they're all around us. It's everywhere. And people defend monogamy only. Yes, this is so great. And they rail against polygyny, and I'm like, do you not see these problems? Like I do, because they're everywhere. Heather Marson said you had 20 years of believing one thing, monogamy, so it's possible that, it is possible that less than a year of being led this way could be turned around. I don't know what that means, Heather. Terry said, I love what you're doing, brother. I look up to you and what you're doing. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. See if there's any other comments here. All right, I'm going to keep going. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place today. I'm usually used to doing these in my car. But I wanted to talk about a couple things before I get off. Again, Alpha Man Blueprint. Let me drop a comment for that if anybody has a interest in it. I did make a video that I posted on Facebook and YouTube breaking down the program, what it's going to encompass. It's going to be a 10-week program. Very excited about it. And again, we start January 22nd. Get into the top 20%. Okay, it's in the comments right now. All right, so what I wanted to talk about was I'm going to Aruba tomorrow, leaving tomorrow morning, spending a week there with the girl. But when I get back, I'm spending 2 nights in Baltimore, and then the weekend of the 19th to the 21st, I'm headed to Phoenix, Arizona. There's this organization called Biblical Families. You can check them out at biblicalfamilies.org. Again, if anybody wants to actually do some research for themselves, they have all the Bible verses for and against polygyny, all the common, I don't want to say excuses, that's not the right word, but the common objections that people have are all on their website. So they're having a retreat. It's a bunch of Christians that believe in biblical polygyny. Some of them have plural marriages that they're in. Some of them just believe in it, or maybe in pursuit of a plural marriage. I don't know what to expect, honestly. I don't know how many people is going to be there, but I started their Instagram page. They didn't have an Instagram, so I started their Instagram page. I've been posting there, and I'm going to go out and meet these guys for the first time. So I want to say my loose strategy with all this is I want to go there and meet them. I may get them to give me some kind of position in the organization, like marketing director or outreach director, I don't know, something. And that title combined with this book, which I'm about to tell you about, I'm about to write a book on polygyny, and then I want to use those 2 pieces of information on my resume to start getting on podcasts and start talking about biblical polygyny, because I never even heard this up until, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. And it's been so life-changing for me to learn it that I need to get it out there. I need to share it with people. And I feel like, there's a real opportunity here. There's a real void that I could fill, because the dream would be to try to make it mainstream, to try to bring it into the mainstream instead of this like fringe thing that you hear and people looked at kind of weird. Like, no, remove the stigma, get the stigma removed about it, so that people that would want to come after me aren't afraid to. Because that, of course, they're going to be, if they were to come and do it now, they would get attacked just like I have. But I want to just take the wind out of everybody, take all the venom out of everybody's attacks, so that men and women that would want to pursue this lifestyle could do it and pave a road for them, so to speak. So that's the goal. I'm going to go there with the girl the weekend of the 19th to the 21st, meet these guys, and then continue working on this book for biblical, which I don't have a title yet, but stay tuned. I'll be posting about that, and then hopefully start getting on some bigger podcasts and get the word out. That's kind of where I'm at with everything right now. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's the plan. Let's go through a couple comments here. Polyandry allowed in the Bible? No, it's not, Michelle. Polyandry, for anyone that doesn't know, is a woman having multiple husbands. That is not allowed. Again, I didn't make the rules, but so this is where it starts. I want you to break something down for you. Adultery. How's adultery defined in the Bible? Most people think adultery is just having sex with someone outside of your marriage. That's not adultery in the Bible. How adultery is defined in the Bible is a married woman having sex outside of her marriage. A married man that has sex outside of his marriage isn't adultery. It's fornication, which is still a very serious sin, but it's not adultery. So going back, just using that definition, polyandry isn't allowed because every time a woman was to have sex with the other husband, she would be committing adultery. Again, but then you have to ask yourself, well, why is adultery defined different for men and women? Why wouldn't it just be? Because again, polygyny is okay. Also, why are women negatively affected at a much higher rate? Not even much higher rate, exponentially higher. Women are exponentially affected negatively by promiscuity, and men are not. Do the research. This is science. Why is that? Because of polygyny. Because a man can have multiple wives, and there's no negative effect for him, but a woman's supposed to be with one man. Not only that, but like, I've dated women that they didn't want anybody else. They didn't want anybody but me, because if a woman's dating the right man, if she's dating an alpha man, she doesn't want other dudes. She doesn't even want to be with a dude that would share her with other men. So I tell women, I'm like, hell no, you can't. No, and you won't want to. And most of the time I'm right. Now look, I'm not saying all women feel that way, but the women that I've dated, that's the way they feel. And they like it when I say that. When I say exercise some sense of ownership or protect, if you want to call it ownership, or that I'm territorial, they love it because they don't want a guy that's going to share them. I don't think any woman wants that. So would you actually want more than one husband? Probably not. All right, let's go through. Let's see. Let me check the comments here. Hold on back a little bit. We got a lot of comments here. Jeez. Alicia Goni, Katrina Bailey, Anthony DeVita. I don't know if you guys are still here. Austin Sanders, Misty Karakash. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate that. She said, sounds good. Happy for you. Jessica Brewer, Misty Karakash. Need that shirt. Harry said, pick one up, dude. Chris Kavanaugh, Erica Berry. What's up, Erica? Tally Wilgus. Tally's a pastor. Captivation Church in the house. Chris Kavanaugh, Jess Boja. What's up, Jess? William Leisure, Vicky Valiant, Biana, Laura and Founds Deal, Cara, Willis Brown. What's up, Willis? Chris Gautier. What's up, Chris? If there's any comments here. Just joining now. What is that exactly? What are you asking, Melly? Morrison said, I see your heart, and even though I don't completely agree, you're trying a big shirt to fix the world. You're trying a big shift to fix the world, and that's respectable. Thank you. I appreciate that you said. Laura said, I don't know what your reasons are. You should stay in your circles that support what you're doing. I don't need to declare about your girlfriend and your private life. It's not our business. Just putting up your life and hers to being targets, and she might not want to be exposed, or she might want to be exposed. But again, she knows what she's signing up for, influenced by what could come of this. What you need to do is be open and true to her so you don't lose her. It's like you're trying to justify yourself and recruit others. I am trying to recruit others, %. I don't know if you want to even call it recruit. What I'm trying to do is educate others, because these people are talking about this. Before I started posting about this, have you ever heard anybody talk about this, Leor? Honestly, I hadn't. So unless somebody starts talking about it, then people won't know. I have to get the information out. I have to stir it up. And if I'm the person that God wants to use to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, she's the person that chooses to be beside me, knowing what she's signing up for. She's a big girl. You can make that decision. What I hate is when people try to tell you how to live your life. Like, you just should do this or you should do that. Like, I don't know anything about your life. I mean, very little. I'm not going to tell you how you should live. You shouldn't do this. You should do this. Like, self-righteous to think that you know how to live someone's life better than them, right? Because you don't know everything that's led up to this and all the surrounding circumstances surrounding it. Like, appreciate it, but I feel like I know what I'm doing as it relates to this, at least. Go Feynman, and Webb. What's up, brother? Masculine, feminine energies, Heather said. I don't know what you're referring to there, but yes. She just said there, polygyny creates polarity. Okay, that's what makes a relationship hot. When there's opposites, okay, when you got a really masculine man and a really feminine woman, it's hot. I know, I'm involved in that. And polygyny creates that because woman, again, your ego defends it. You're like, no, your independence, your fierce independence. You're like, I would never let a man get my head. Probably single or divorced, in all honesty. Or you got a husband that you whip around and you don't respect his ass and you're unhappy. There has to be polarity is a healthy thing, and this creates polarity. And I also believe, if I go back to what my buddy in the Thailand said, where polygyny is normal, he said it creates an inability to let go. First, it creates hatred. The woman, let's say there's a monogamous couple. The man introduces another woman to the relationship. It's met with initial hatred for the man by the first woman. Then it's followed by an overwhelming attraction to the same man by the same woman. So first she's like hates him, but then she wants to fuck him. And then it creates an inability to let go, where she can't leave him. Why? I think it's because it creates the polarity. And now all of a sudden you got like magnets stuck together. Now we don't have the divorce rate. Now we don't have 90% of the women filing for divorce because she's looking up to her man like, this is my king, my master. I know y'all probably hate me saying that, but that's what I believe probably happens somehow. And is that good for the divorce rates? Fuck yes, it is. Is it good for fatherless homes? Fuck yes, it is. You're going to have a lot less of them. You're going to have kids that are raised by two parents that really love each other, and the man looks up to the woman, and he, girls that I'm talking to, I've been exploring this polygyny thing, because it creates this polarity where they're like, they look up to you like you're their king, like you're their spiritual father, like you're their daddy, and whatever. I have girls calling me master, like KGB, the football player that I had on my podcast. But they feel that way about it. And what makes me feel is like super protective of them. Like this is my little girl. I got to take care of her. I got to protect her, and I got to provide for her, and I'll die for her if I have to. Like that's what it creates. I'm not saying that you can't have that in monogamy only. You can, but you can also not have it. With polygyny, it's mandatory that you get that polarity because it destroys feminism. Liz, what's up? How you been? It's not a nice thing to say, Leora, about Mormonism not being a real religion. I'm sure those people would be very offended by that. I don't believe in it either. Barf. I know what you were barfing about, Heather. You okay with the one you love having more than one husband? Hell no. I already answered that question. I think you probably asked that before about it. Bible does say one flesh. It also says that you become one flesh with a prostitute when you sleep with her. So it can't mean one and only. Hope you find one who's truly okay with polygyny. Your girlfriend already seems like she'd be unhappy with polygyny. Well, here's the deal. Like, everybody gets to make the decision. That's the beauty of this, is which I've argued, hated this multiple times. Is like, nobody's going to force anybody to do anything. If they want to do it, they can. They don't have to. That's what I'm going to, any woman I date, I'm going to let them know that this is my biblical right and I may exercise it. And there's a very good chance that I might do it. I more than likely will. I'd like to be with you. I took the girl I'm dating now. I love you. I want to be with you. But I also understand this is a hard thing to sign up for. And if you don't stay, I understand. I have to be obedient to God. And I feel like this is the path he's leading me down. That's the conversation a man needs to have. And that's what you need to stand in. Because a woman respects that. Even if she doesn't stick around, she's going to respect that. And she's going to respect you as a man for this is my boundary, and you're enforcing that boundary. Again, maybe you never do it. I think I will. She doesn't have to stay. I'm not twisting anybody's arm. Rocky Murphy. What's up, Rocky? Let's see if there's any other questions here. Dior says, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying you do you. I am doing me, but that's not why. I don't do anything just because I want to, Leor. You should know me well enough to know that, like, I take the call of God very seriously on my life. If I find something that's true and beneficial for the world, I want to share it, even if I have to take criticism in the process. I'm maybe not wired like me. That's not how you are, where you just want to live a quiet life and you do you. And like you just said, but that's not me. So stop trying to tell me to be you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what God's telling me to do, is to talk about this. I don't understand why that's so hard for people to understand. Iris said, you are not alone, Rob. Many men of God are coming into the truth of biblical marriage, not Western marriage. Yes, I definitely think now's the time. Now's the time to take the hill. It's time for this to come out. Smith, who else is here? Eric Gardner. What's up, Eric? Okay, I think that's it for the comments. Rob Iobi. What's up, Rob? Always pissed that I was born in the wrong decade. You were born in the wrong millennium. Ha! Well, I'm going to be nice. Love all these people that are divorced giving me relationship advice. Just because you failed at something doesn't make you an expert at it. I'll just leave it at that. Guys, that's it. I'm going to jump off. That was all I really had to say about the new girlfriend, about the traveling, and keep you updated. Ana Pico said, the only king is God. My father is my father. Her husband is not a king or anything. He's a husband, and that's it. Actually, your husband, the word, and I'm not an expert on this, so I shouldn't probably try to tackle it, but basically he's your master according to the Bible. That's what the Bible says, and that's what Sarah referred to Abraham as, his master. That's where the KGB and those black Jews get it from. A man who is with one woman is a real man. That's the hard thing. That's what would be convenient for you, right? I'm not saying a man that's with one woman isn't a real man. That doesn't make him a real man either, just because he's with one woman. A man has 5 wives. You're saying that he's not a real man? Again, women want men to love like women love. Men don't love like women love. Men love through sexual exclusivity. Men show love through provision and protection. If I'm providing for you and I'm protecting you, I love you. I'm sacrificing for you. I expect you to be me sexual exclusivity. Okay, but women want men to love like women do. And that's where the problem starts. And I'm not saying that they can't, because some men, I think the majority of men, monogamy works great for.
But when you enforce it upon them and you make them feel like they don't do it and try to shame them and put laws around it, then you got all the problems that we see now. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm taking off. I'm starving. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. It's 4:30. I'm doing this intermittent fasting. Time to eat. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Speed to you, Cyrus. Fighting the good fight, brother. And talk to y'all later. Love you. See you.